When I started painting houses in 1984, most work crews in Los Angeles included a lot of Hispanic men. But out in the suburbs, you still saw many Anglo crews. At this point, 34 years later, I am such a rarity on job sites, a white guy doing physical work, that Latino workers look at me with curiosity. Sometimes a young guy at a job nearby will come over at lunch and talk to me just to practice his English skills. Now and again, one of the East Indian guys working at whatever 7-Eleven I stop into will speak to me in rudimentary Spanish, assuming that I must speak that language. In the last 40 years or so, the entire home trades industry of Southern California has been taken over by immigrants. Many, if not most of them, are here illegally. Taken over sounds conspiratorial. Trust me, there's no plot to take over the home trades. It's just where these immigrants got a foothold and where a marginally educated person can do a good job. Had there been crowds of young Asian people with briefcases lined up for day work outside Staples each day, like workers do at the Home Depot, this problem would have been solved decades ago. Only now are the intellectual elites beginning to panic about the upscale jobs being snatched by Asians. There is now talk of limiting Asian admittance to some colleges. So, what has been the direct impact on me? I'll tell you. But first, let me say that in all of my thousands of contacts with newly arrived immigrants across our southern border, I can recall only one truly negative experience with Hispanic workers. One guy who was running a landscaping crew in the yard of a house where I was inside painting went way out of his way to mess with me. He was the exception that proved the rule. Everybody else has been as polite to me as I have been to them, sometimes extraordinarily so. Once I left some fresh painted doors in the garage of a vacant house I was working on. Over the weekend while I was gone, a roofing crew tore the shingles off that garage. Now, there was no ceiling inside to keep dust and scraps from falling on my doors. That crew stapled plastic to the joists inside for the single purpose of not messing up my doors. You don't get more respectful than that. I've left my tools in the back of an open pickup hundreds of times in home center stores all over Southern California. Only once did I have a tool stolen, a brand new 8-foot roller extension. I was pretty pissed off until a customer called to say that her Hispanic gardener had found that extension between her house and a row of shrubs, right where I'd left it when I packed out a week before. Not only had a Mexican not stolen that tool at some Home Depot, but another Mexican had also not stolen it, or Salvadoran, or Honduran, etc. So, in general terms, I have been happy to work alongside these people. Often in the homes of one of my wealthier customers, I will be one of maybe 4 or 5 people working on the property. Yard crews, domestic workers, rarely are any of the others white or black. Almost always they're Hispanic, except the pool guy. The pool guy's white, and he has a great tan. Apart from the inconvenience of the language barrier, which is sometimes only overcome with an impromptu game of workplace charades, I have had almost no trouble. Except for this. My wages have been frozen for 15 years, and that's not nothing. Most of the Anglo guys who were in the painting business when I started have either moved up and now run crews of Hispanic immigrants, or they've left the business or left the state. You see, I do all of my own work. I have no employees. I do it all. Scraping, sanding, patching, stucco work, caulking, reglazing, masking, spraying, and hand painting. Every bit of it. So I cannot make as much as a guy who is out hustling future jobs while his crews paint the current ones. See, if he has 10 guys all earning $25 an hour for his company, while he pays them an average of $15 an hour, he's bringing in $100 an hour on their labor alone. If I am, by myself, earning $25 an hour from my company, I am actually making $25 an hour, minus taxes and other expenses. So, unless I want to run crews, I have 2 choices really. Either work alone and make my current wage, or work for another painting contractor and make even less. Had there not been a glut of labor in the home trades willing to work cheap, people would be accustomed to paying more for a job. And it's not only depressed wages that I deal with, but also a mountain of competition. It's rare that I will paint a house and not see at least one flyer show up on the door from another house painter. This is simple supply and demand stuff. More workers ready to do each job means that the labor is valued at a lower rate. Period. You've heard people say this: undocumented immigrants are doing jobs that Americans won't do. Oh, really? Imagine that there had been no illegal immigration into the Southwest for the last 50 years. Would there have been no homes built? No lawns mowed? No children cared for? What would have happened is that fewer people would have lined up to get a job hanging drywall or setting tile, because not every American does want to work with his or her hands. But not every American wants to sit behind a desk either. So those jobs would have gotten done just by fewer people. That means you'd schedule your work a little farther out and expect to pay a little bit more. So more homeowners would do their own work, like my folks did. More kids would be doing chores, like me and my brothers and sisters did. And more people would be prioritizing their budgets in order to save for the important things. There would be fewer kids who have never cleaned their own rooms or spent a few hours on the weekend with hedge clippers in their hands. A new generation would better understand both the value of work and the value of money. And it means that there would be a hell of a lot fewer intellectual elites who have no clue how working Americans live or how smart they actually are. And when the pressure for more workers got too severe, legal immigration would solve that problem. Imagine a society that actually bothered with such concepts as balance. But what about the countries to our south? Wouldn't they all be in much worse shape? I think they'd be in better shape. Why? Because they would have not been drained for decades of their hardest working, most risk-taking citizens. Do we think that those people, when facing the corrupt systems of their home countries, would not have risen up through society to make the needed changes? I don't think that for a minute. I know guys who came here at 18 with nothing and now have 6 trucks and 20 guys working. That's right, not every contractor is Anglo. Many, if not most, are immigrants themselves. Among these hardworking people are a large number of ambitious people, and their home countries have that many fewer ambitious, hardworking people. Hell, in much of rural Mexico, towns have no working-age people at all. They're all up here pouring concrete or walking baby Emma to a play date. Listen, nobody has more respect for people who come to a strange country, live 8 guys to a house, work Sundays, and still send half their money home. Are there outlaws among them? Without a doubt. But the vast majority are decent people with good hearts. And we need to seal the damn border by whatever means necessary, and then import workers legally at a rate that matches our need for their skills. This is not racism. This is not xenophobia. This is just a fair and balanced look at the problem from ground zero. Just one guy who's been climbing ladders and paying attention for 34 years. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.